Hello everyone and welcome to PCClassesOnline.com presents New to Mac. We are doing this video for two types of people out there. Those of you who have just joined us on PC Classes Online, have maybe just gotten a Mac and want to see what it's all about. And also for our local business customers, we have a business called the Mac Guru, which has offices in Provincetown, Massachusetts and Key West, Florida. And we want to do a video for our customers to show them, if they've just switched from PC to Mac, kind of how to get around all the basics. So that's what we're going to be doing here today. Now, I am showing you this class on a computer that is running the brand new Mountain Lion operating system, also known as OS X 10.8. And I encourage you to either take notes during this video, or if you want, of course, you have a rewind button. This class is not being done live, obviously. So I want to really be able to take my time and just go over all the basics with you. So I'm going to be doing a lot of metaphor, a lot of comparing how you did something on a PC, how you do it on the Mac, and hopefully get you all to a point where you're a little bit more comfortable with it. So on a PC, you have basically all of your data between the Start menu, the desktop, and My Computer. On a Mac, it's not that much different. It's between the desktop, which of course is right here. You have the Apple menu, which is up here at the very top left. And this is where you're going to find all of those items like your system preferences, which is sort of the equivalent to the control panel, your dock preferences. That's this thing here at the very bottom of my screen. If an application doesn't respond, you can force quit. And of course, all of your sleep, restart, shutdown, and log out options are right here. And we're going to be going over these, especially system preferences, a little bit more in a bit. Then you've got your dock. So your dock right down here can be completely customized, and all of these icons represent applications on your computer that you use the most. Now, let's start with the most important one of all, which is Finder. Now, Finder is this little Happy Mac icon, and it is the equivalent of My Computer on a PC. So Finder is where all of your data lives. So for example, you can see here there's a place for applications. So every program that's in the computer is listed right here. Okay? Everything that's on my desktop, which in my case is nothing, is listed there. All my documents are right here under Documents. Any downloads that I have, whether I've downloaded something from, whether it's from the internet or from an email, they're all going to go here in Downloads. And I'm going to show you how to customize this little sidebar here in just a minute. So I'm going to also presume that there's probably going to be other people out there who are watching this video who are current PC users who are thinking about switching to Mac. So I get this question all the time. Why am I quote unquote a Mac? Well, I think the main reason is, one, I don't have to worry about all the problems that come with Windows, whether it's viruses, the level of corruption, data corruption, that happens on Windows. It just works. The other thing I love is Apple's support, because when I need support, which, hey, it does happen, when I call Apple, it's not like with Windows where you call Microsoft and they say, oh, it's not a Windows problem, it's a Dell problem. So then you call Dell and Dell says, no, it's not a Dell problem, it's a Microsoft problem. And my calls are always answered in less than 5 minutes, if that even. And they speak English natively, and their support is just outstanding. You know, your computer is important to your life. We keep photos on it, okay? It's not like a printer, which can be replaced easily and does the same thing. This thing holds on to your digital life, and that is why I'm a Mac, because I put a value on that experience, on that data, and that reliability. That's my spiel. So let's go a little bit into all the different pieces that make up the Mac. A lot of the reason why people don't switch is purely fear, and I think when you start using it, you're going to figure out that it just makes sense. The way you do something in one application is many times the exact same way you do it in another. Let me give you an example here. One of the little apps we have right here is called Contacts. Now, if you're on an older operating system, this was called Address Book, and they just renamed it to Contacts. No major differences, it's just the name. So let's say I wanted to add a new contact to my address book, right? When I say add, what symbol do you think of? You probably think of a plus sign, like that plus sign right there. So to add a new contact, I just click plus. I fill out my contact's information, their first name, last name, phone number, email, and that's it. But then at the same time, that's also the same way you do many other things on the Mac when you go to add something. You'll see plenty of examples, I promise. So let's start with, where should we start here? Oh, I also didn't mention what's going on up here at the very top right. So for those of you who are running Mountain Lion, again, this is the brand new operating system. You have this new thing here called Notification Center. And so this is where you'll get little alerts like things on your calendar, reminders to yourself, notes, email messages that have just come in. I don't use it a lot, honestly, but it's kind of nice to have it there. Next to that, we have a little spot. This is actually called Spotlight. It's a search. So if you are trying to find something, you just can't find it in your computer, you can type in the file and it'll look through the whole computer and try to find it. Next to that, for most of you, you'll see that we have your account. Now, I don't believe it's going to show there if you only have one account. Now, in my case, as you can see here, I have 4 accounts, okay, one of which is my personal. I have a guest account. If I have someone coming over and they want to check their email, the nice thing about using a guest account is they won't see any of my data. They won't see my photos, web history, email, all that stuff. So that is where, if I want, I could just click right here and boom, switch into my personal account. But then we wouldn't be recording this video, so I'm not going to do that. Next, we have our date and time preferences. Okay, so it's all set automatically through the internet, but if you have any problems with it, you can just open date and time preferences right here. If it's acting kind of funky, you may just need to change the the time zone. Over there, we have volume. As you can see, it's a little button you can slide up and down, but more people than anything use their keyboard. Most of you, depending on which computer you have, right around the F10, F11, and F12 keys, you'll see that you have volume controls right there. Next is Wi-Fi. So this is the icon that it looks like we are on Wi-Fi right now. If I did not have Wi-Fi, the little bars that are there, they wouldn't be there, it'd just be kind of an outline. And that's where, let's say you have a laptop and you're going to a cafe, this is where you're going to click and look for wireless networks. Now you notice that a lot of these here, well, all of these here have lock icons. That means that those networks are password protected. So if you want to get into them, you better know the password. If there is no lock, it means it's an open network. So you can just join and boom, you're good to go. A lot of times people who live in a city, you're going to want to have a password protected network just because your neighbors are fairly close in terms of proximity. If you live in, you've got a good 100 to 200 feet between your house and the next one, just go open. There's no problem with it. Next over here is Bluetooth options. Mine's showing a little alert here because I forgot that my battery on my Apple Magic Mouse is about to die. Hopefully it won't do it in the middle of this class. But anyways, if you have like a Bluetooth keyboard or Bluetooth mouse that you'd like to add, all you have to do is click on this icon right here and go down here to set up Bluetooth device, and it'll walk you through everything. The rest of these you're not going to see just because this is some special stuff I have on my computer, except for this one here. So this little icon right here looks like a clock with a counterclockwise arrow around it, is what's called Time Machine. And Time Machine is one of the best innovations to an operating system. It came out several operating systems ago on the Mac. And what it does is all of your data on your computer is on what's called a hard drive. And your hard drive will fail. One day, sooner or later, it is never if, it is only when. So what Time Machine does is if you take an external hard drive and plug it into the Mac, Time Machine will detect it and say, hey, would you like to use this device as a backup for your data? So what it's going to do is, without you having to do anything, if it's plugged in once an hour, it's going to back up the changes. And what's nice is that you notice I said it's not the whole computer, it's just the changes. So the first time you do plug it in, yes, it's going to take hours and it's going to back up everything. But after that, it's really quick. It's just the changes you've done in the last hour. And that way, when that inevitable day happens, when your hard drive fails, you would bring someone like myself or an Apple dealer or an Apple store, your computer, and they would use your backup and bring back all of your data onto a new hard drive. It's a moving part. It fails. It's just part of life. Even solid-state drives fail, the ones that don't have moving parts. So regardless, it is always important to back up your data. Can't emphasize that enough. So Where do we start? Well, let's talk a little bit more about Finder here. Finder, happy Mac icon, last one on your dock. You can't remove it. That's where all your stuff is. Now, a lot of you, when you see this, you may see additional items right here. And I want to show you how to tweak it and how to get it to where I recommend a lot of our customers have their preferences set up. So when you have what's called a Finder window open, which is this right here, click on where it says Finder at the very top left. And I want you to click on where it says Preferences. Now this is one of those things which is very consistent all the way across the Mac. Every single program has its own preferences. And they're almost always located, no, they are always located, right here. It's the second item down from the name of the program. So right here you'll see that I have these different tabs right up here. And let's start with General, okay? So what you're going to want to do, this is obviously a video, so if you need to pause it, that's fine. But for most of our clients, I like to get them to mirror this. You want the first three checked and the last one not checked. When it says New Finder window open shows, a lot of you who have just gotten a computer, it's going to say All My Files. I really strongly recommend that you change it to what's called the Home folder. And you'll know it's the Home folder because it'll have a little house icon next to it, if you can see that. The reason why is that All My Files, inevitably, if you have something that maybe you don't want others to see, as soon as you open a Finder window, they'll be able to see it. So avoid embarrassing situations and change it to your Home folder. Okay. Next, we're going to go here to Sidebar. And this is this right here, which you'll see in the Finder window. So by default, the computer comes pretty much like this. Okay. So what you want to do is uncheck All My Files, uncheck AirDrop, uncheck Movies, Music, Pictures, and get it to look just like this. So let's go over what they are, even though it's pretty self-explanatory. Dropbox, first of all, right here is a third-party program, so a lot of you are not going to have that. But Applications is where every program in the computer is located. Okay? So if you ever accidentally lose one of the icons down here, don't worry. All you have to do is go to Finder, Applications, and it's listed right here. Let me show you one of the questions we get in the most commonly. Let's pretend I am going to check my email. Now this is not going to be the case for anyone who's on Mountain Lion, but all of the older operating systems may be the case. One day you go to click on mail and you accidentally, your finger kind of jerks and it's gone suddenly. Well, don't worry. I'm going to show you how to add it back into the dock. The whole Mac is based on a very, very simple concept of drag and drop. And what that means is that if you have data in one location and you want it to go to another, you should be able to just simply click it, drag it, and drop it there. So let's do it as an example from scratch. So I accidentally removed the mail icon from my dock. I want to get it back. I'm going to click on Finder. I'm going to go to Applications. It's in alphabetical order. There it is right there. And now all I have to do is click, drag, and drop it, and it stays there. One of the nice features with Mountain Lion is everything's a little bit more locked down so that you're not going to accidentally remove it. Additionally, if there's other applications that you use a lot, like let's say I have here Pixelmator, which is an application that I paid for and downloaded. Let's say I use that a lot, okay, and I want to access it on my dock. I can just take that and drag it and drop it, and it will stay there. For those of you who are on Mountain Lion and want to know how to remove it from your dock, like let's take a look at Photo Booth here. Photo Booth is kind of silly. Not many people use it, other than a lot of kids will use it, but that's about it. What you can do is, many of you who are coming over from PC are used to having a right click. So what that would mean is that you click on the right hand side of the mouse and you get a series of additional options. The Mac has that also. On a Mac, for those of you who are on a laptop, all you have to do is put 2 fingers on your trackpad when you click, and you're going to get a series of additional options. One of which is Options, and look right here, it says Remove from Dock. As soon as I click that, poof, it's gone. For those of you who are on an older operating system like Lion or Snow Leopard, you can simply drag and drop an icon off of the dock and it will disappear. Okay. Let's go over some other stuff here. So I talked about applications, and some of you may be looking at your screens right now saying, hey, mine doesn't look quite like that. Mine looks like a list. Well, that's what these options are right here. So this first one right here, it looks like a bunch of little boxes. That is the icon view. Next we have a list view. Now list view is great for things like documents because you don't care really about what the icon looks like. Next is columns, which is fine if you have a lot of folders, and then in folders you have other folders, and then in those folders you have other folders, and you can kind of guess how this is going to go. I click on Adobe, for example. There's another folder inside that called Flash Player. Ignore the background noise. I click on Add-ins, it goes to the next one. So if you have multiple folders, this view may be better for you. The other thing you'll notice is that when I go back, it's in the exact same view. So it'll go to the same view that you're used to. Sorry, let's change that back. Finally, we have cover flow. So cover flow doesn't really work well for applications, but what it is good for is, let's say you have a bunch of I'm in the downloads folder right now. So for example, anything I download from the internet or from email, this is where it's all going to go. So for example, this document right here called About Downloads comes with the computer. I can see a little preview of the document. One of the things you're going to see that I'm going to do throughout this video is I'm going to give you a bunch of little quick tips, and these are just things that we get phone calls or emails about all the time, and so I want to present them to you so that you are aware of them. Let's say you're going through your documents one day and you have like 10, I'm going to actually use the downloads folder, and you have like 10 different versions of a document, and you're just trying to figure out which one is which. And you don't really want to open the document because that takes too long, but you just want to see a really quick preview. Here's a trick. Click on it just so that it's highlighted, okay? And then just tap the space bar. It's called Quick Preview, all right? I'm not actually opening the document, but I'm instantly able to get a quick little look at what it is. And that'll work with music, it'll work with movies, it'll work with documents, you name it. It's pretty cool. Won't work really with applications though. What else do we have here that we can go over? You probably already figured this one out, most of you, but on the PC you have an X, a box, and a minus sign at the top right corner, and that would be maximize, minimize, and close. On the Mac you have these little colored dots. You have red, which is close, yellow, which will minimize it into your dock, so when I click on that it'll kind of genie down. If you look, it's now right here. Not many people use the green button. All that does is change it between two different views. So you can see it goes back and forth between two. Not many people use it. The other thing I want to show you can do, the same is true on Windows, is you may go into your documents one day and it's all kind of mixed up. And you're like, wait, I thought this was in alphabetical order. Well, you probably noticed that I just clicked on Date Modified and it is now organizing it that way. Just click on Name and it will start to organize it by the name. If I click it again, it will reverse the order, just in case you ever encounter that problem. So now I think what we can do is we can start to talk a little bit about the system preferences, which is the equivalent of Control Panel on the PC. So to get access to the system preferences, you can get there one of two ways. If you have this little gear icon in your dock, you can click on it that way. Or, if you prefer, you can click on the Apple menu and go to System Preferences. So this is everything that makes up your computer. It's where you go to do everything from change your desktop background to screensavers to adding a printer, all sorts of different things that are going to be across the whole computer. I want to go over the main ones. So of course, desktop and screensaver is pretty straightforward. If you want to change the background, you can do it here. One of the little tips that a lot of our users like is they want their photos to be the background. So what you can do is, if you look here at the very top, it's actually talking to iPhoto. So if you create a little album of your favorite photos, you can click on that, and then you see right here where it says change picture, it'll just rotate between different images. Screensaver is this little tab right here, and you have all these different effects that you can use. all sorts of different stuff. The other main important ones that you're going to want to be aware of, let's see, energy saver, especially if you're on a laptop more than anything. It'll dictate, if I leave my computer for 20 minutes, it'll, put the hard drive to sleep, for example. If you add a printer to your Mac, usually when you buy a printer, it comes with those little discs. Don't worry about them. Just throw them out, or they make great coasters, because all you need to do is plug it into your Mac, click on print and scan. And remember we just talked about add a new contact? Well, in this case, you're going to add a printer, and look what it is. It's a plus sign. If you're going to do a wireless printer, we get this question all the time. Basically, the way you add a wireless printer on a Mac is from the printer, there's going to be some sort of a menu, and it's going to say something to the extent of wireless setup, and it's going to ask you for the password to your wireless network. And once you're done with that, it's the exact same method. You would just click on print and scan, hit the plus sign, and at that point your computer will see that there is a wireless printer talking to the network, and it will get all the software online by itself. You almost never need the disk with a Mac. Thank God. Other options we have here, iCloud, of course. It's very hard for us to do classes on iCloud. We try to do them, but what's tough is that everyone has different things, different configurations for iCloud. But basically what it will do is it will synchronize your contacts, your calendar, all the way across all your devices, an iPhone, an iPad, a Mac. It does not work well with Outlook. Even the top geniuses at Apple will admit that. Outlook is like the bad habit that you just have to kick. This right here is called a photo stream, and what it will do is basically if you take a photo with your phone or your iPad, it will magically be already on your computer. Same thing with documents. If you create a document using Pages or Numbers or Keynote on your computer, you can start working on it on your computer and then finish working on it on your iPad or iPhone. It'll also synchronize your mail accounts. It will not necessarily synchronize your emails. That is dependent on who you use. And it makes sense for me to go over this really quickly because this is one of the most common questions we get. So there's different email services out there, everything from Gmail to Yahoo to, God forbid, AOL. And there's two different email technologies. There's one called POP and there's one called IMAP. And a lot of people don't know how they work. So let me try to explain. Examples of POP are Comcast, Verizon, let's see, who else? A lot of websites will do it. So if you have your own domain name, a lot of them will use POP, but not necessarily. And what it means is that if I send you an email and you are using a POP email address, your computer is getting a copy of it. And the problem with that is as soon as you add a second device, let's say you're like me and you get over 100 emails a day. If I used an email account that used POP technology, I'd have to delete 100 emails a day from my desktop, my laptop, my iPhone, and my iPad. Big waste of time. Whereas IMAP will automatically synchronize everything. So if I delete an email from my computer, it's going to be gone from my iPad, it's going to be gone from my iPhone. Very, very simple. If you have questions about that, I would encourage you to email us through our website at pcclassesonline.com. That's a little bit about iCloud and email. By the way, to add an email address is right here next door to it, where it says Mail, Contacts, and Calendars. Users and groups is where you can go to add a second user. So let's say for those of you parents, if you want your kids to have their own account separate from yours, by adding their own account, they won't be able to access your contacts, your web history, your photos, anything like that, okay? And to do that, guess what? Plus sign. Just hit add a new user. You also have access to parental controls. So if you want the computer to basically be non-functional between 8 p.m. and 7 a.m., this is where you'd go, parents. One of the coolest features in Mountain Lion is dictation. So the Mac now has built-in dictation. All you have to do is turn it on. By default, it is turned off. So just turn that on. The one thing you should know is that it does have to render your voice through the internet. So if you're not online, this is not going to work. And at that point, you can choose what key that you hit on your keyboard. So in my case, I'm using a third-party keyboard, so I hit the Command key twice. And so let's show you an example of that. Let's go into Notes here. That's one I did earlier. So if I create a new note and I just double tap the Command key, I just start to talk. And when I'm done, I hit Command again, and it will instantly translate it. So let's see, what can I say? One day while walking in the park, I discovered something very mysterious in front of me, period. And boom, it's just like that. And you can see it did a perfect job, just like that. I usually recommend it to get your initial idea out there. It's pretty tough to think about punctuation while you're talking. So a lot of times I'll just get my thought out there and then I'll go back manually and add in periods, commas, that kind of thing. That's a really, really cool feature built into Mountain Lion. For anyone who has a disability, whether it's hearing or seeing, that's where accessibility comes in. A lot of you will probably notice that my cursor is abnormally huge right now, which I purely do for teaching reasons. And so this is where I'd go for that. Under display, normally the cursor is that size, but it'd be very hard for you to see this class if that were the case, so I make it extra large. And then down here you can see we have other options so that if you are hard of hearing, for example, you can make it so that every time there's an alert on the computer, the screen will flash like this. Might have been hard to see that, but it just flashed. That's pretty much the main ones that I wanted to go over with you guys. The other thing I want to mention is a software update. One of the common questions we get, why don't Macs get viruses? Or do I need to get antivirus software? You do not need antivirus software. All it's going to do is it's going to do the exact same thing that it does to a PC. It's going to cause problems and it's going to slow down the computer. The reason why Macs don't get viruses, for the most part, and it's not to say that there never have been, because there have been viruses, but the big difference is that the viruses that are out there are significantly slimmer in number, and they don't cause catastrophic damage. The viruses that were out there usually caused annoying pop-ups, but that's about it. The reason why is that all Macs are connected to each other by software update. I said earlier that the nice thing with Apple is that the company that makes the computer is also the company that makes the operating system. Well, what happens with this is if a virus comes out for a Mac, Apple will get a hold of it, they will create the fix, and they will then beam down the fix to everyone via software update, which naturally does run once a week. And so if something comes out, you will see in your software updates, it may have one day an update says, security update. And all that means is your computer doesn't have a virus, but you are automatically downloading the fix so that you can't get it. It's a very nice feature. All about reliability, people. A few other features we can go over here. This is after all being recorded, so we don't have time constraints. Launchpad is a new feature that came out with Lion, and it's just simply a different way to view all of those applications in your computer. And you can skim through these. You can go through all the applications in the computer. Obviously, I have more than most people. Okay, just a different way of accessing it. The Apple Mail program is a great little program because what it'll do is it'll access all of your email no matter who you use for email. So getting back to just very briefly about the whole IMAP thing, the top two email services that we recommend are me.com, which is also known as iCloud. It's their own built-in mail, or Gmail. Either two seem to be consistently the best, consistently reliable, not perfect, but the best. If you use a different service like Yahoo, for example, all you have to do to use Apple Mail with Yahoo is type in your email address, type in your password, and that's it. All the settings are automatic. The only case where you'll have to customize your settings is if you're using a special service provider that isn't well known. I mean, like Comcast is very well known. All those settings are automatic. If you're using your own website domain name, you'll have to do it manually. But for the most part, it's great. This little icon right here is called the App Store, and that's where you go for any third-party applications that you want to install. The thing with the Mac, though, is that the best applications out there come with the computer. So the only real applications that I would recommend with the App Store are the iWork suite, which contains Pages, Numbers, and Keynote, which is sort of like Apple's own little version of Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. The other option is, of course, you can get Microsoft Office for Mac. It's not for everyone. If you're a creative individual, iWork is going to be better. If you're doing very standard work, just typical documents, that's where Microsoft Office might be a better solution for you. The only other app that I can truly recommend, which I love, is a little app called Magic Window. It's only really good if you have a desktop. I have it on my computer. I'm just not running it right now. And what it does is it turns your desktop background into time-lapse photography. It's a very, very cool app. The only thing is that it does use a lot of energy, which is why I wouldn't recommend it on a laptop. Your desktop is plugged in. It's $3, okay? And you buy this the same way you would buy music through iTunes, which is through your Apple ID. If you've never created an Apple ID, when you try to buy it, it's going to make you create one. So don't even worry about that. It's very secure to buy apps through the Mac. Very simple. And that's one of the great things, is that all of the apps in the App Store are verified by Apple. There's no risk that you're going to accidentally download something that's going to destroy your computer. Messages is, for example, if I want to send a quick instant message to my employee who's using an iPhone, I can do it here right through Messages. Safari is your web browser by default. Now, if those of you who have been following us for a while, you know that I've gone kind of back and forth between Safari and Chrome as far as which is the best browser. Right now, I'm still using Chrome. I just like it better. But Safari has some very nice features. It is, of course, very secure. It's very reliable. I just find Chrome to be a little bit faster. So if I want to Google an item, for example, all I have to do is just type it right here in this bar and hit enter. And boom, I'll Google it. For those of you who are on older operating systems, you'll have a separate little toolbar over here on the right-hand side. Anytime you go to download something from the Mac, whether it's online, you see this icon right up here at the top right. This is where you can get instant access to those files without having to go to the downloads folder. Okay, you just double-click on whatever file it is. Since I have this open, one of the things I want to mention, anytime we sell a computer, we try to install these two pieces of software. We're not perfect at doing it, but we try to always remember to do it. There's two key pieces of software that if you just bought your Mac, you're going to want to have access to. They're free, so don't even worry about it. The first one is Flash, and the second one is called VLC. And to get Flash, all you have to do is just Google the word Flash. It's going to automatically detect that you're on a Mac. It's the very first item right here. You'll click on it, click download now, and it's just going to have you follow the very simple instructions to install it. Flash is the technology that allows you to view things like YouTube and other videos on the web. When it's done downloading, what you can do is click right here. You'll see I still have it right here. You'll double click, double click here. It's going to say, this is downloaded from the internet. Are you sure you want to open it? Yep, it's safe. Check the box. Click install. And at this point, it's going to ask you for the password to your computer. This is the password that you put in when you first created your computer. In my case, I have none. And here's the key thing. It's going to make you quit out of your web browser in order to do this because it's affecting the web browser. The other thing you can do is just click force close all, and it'll just do it. Takes less than 30 seconds to install, and boom, you have Flash. The other item that I mentioned, and you can again just Google it, is called VLC. Let me walk you through that installation. So you'll go in here and Google the letters V as in Victor, L as in Lucy, C as in computer. It is the very first item right here. And click download. Now when you're done, this is what you're going to have. Is this window right here. Now, when you download software, you're going to see this kind of window a lot, okay, when you download it off the internet. And a lot of people don't understand what it's trying to tell you to do. To install the software, you need to drag the icon into this. So just simply click, drag, and drop. Okay, now I've already installed it, so I don't need to worry about it. And what VLC is going to do is certain videos that you download from the internet, like WMV files, Windows Media Videos, it's going to automatically play them for you. It's just a really nice, simple, clean, open source, reliable piece of software. Everyone pretty much needs it. You may not need it at the moment, but trust me, one day you will. That's the two pieces of software that we recommend getting, no matter what. One more little thing I realized I missed that I want to go over real quickly with you guys is a new feature. This came out in Lion, but the new ability to run all of your applications in full screen. So, for example, when I go to Safari, and let's just say, I don't know, for example, I'm on PCClassesOnline.com, shameless promo. If I'm on a laptop, especially like a 13-inch laptop, I really want to utilize my entire screen. Right? So one of the features you can now do is if you pay attention to the top right corner of my computer, you'll see these two little arrows. And if I click on it, what it's going to do is it's going to blow it up and I'm in full screen mode. There are no distractions of any kind. Now some people freak out and they say, oh my God, how do I get out of it? It's actually very easy. All you have to do is put your cursor at the very top of the screen and you'll see that those two little arrows are right there. Click it again and it's back. One last little thing. Again, just realized that I forgot about this. A lot of people don't know the difference between closing an application and quitting. So let me show you. If I hit the little red dot here, Safari is still running. You can tell because A, it still says Safari at the top, but if you can see, and you probably can't, there's a teeny tiny little white light underneath Safari. That means it is in fact running. If you can tell at all, contacts and calendars have the same thing right now. So the difference is, let's say I run a ton of applications on my computer, but instead of quitting, I just close them. Well, all of those applications are still taking up what's called RAM, or memory. And basically, if my computer starts to lag a little bit, one of the easy ways is to quit out of them. So the difference between hitting the little red dot and the other way, which is how you probably should, which is you click on the name of the application and select quit, is that now it is fully closed out. So whatever memory was being taken up by the computer to run Safari is now available again for other applications to use. If you sign up for PC Classes Online, you'll notice that we use a lot of metaphors when we teach. And there's a big confusion out there that a lot of people have in terms of what is RAM, what is hard drive, what is memory. And I want to share with you my favorite metaphor for this kind of thing, which is to use your kitchen as the example. Let's say you're going one day to bake a cake, okay? Well, your cabinets, which contain all of your ingredients, is your hard drive. How much stuff do you have? Now, if you have a ton of photos, you're going to want to make sure that you have a really nice size hard drive, a terabyte maybe, or 2 terabytes even, if you have a ton. Your countertop is the RAM. So if I go to bake a cake and my countertop is, 1 square foot by 1 square foot, okay, it's really small. It's, 1 square foot. It's going to take me a really long time to make that cake, right? Because every time I want to add a new ingredient, I've got to put something away. So by having more RAM on your computer, you're adding a great ability to multitask, to have, your photos downloading while your computer's checking email, while you're on the web, and all these different things all going on at once. So that's kind of RAM and your hard drive. The other part of your computer is, of course, the processor. And that, in this metaphor, is how much caffeine you've had that morning. How quickly are you able to do it? So just trying to make those things a little bit clear so you understand how they work. If this is the first time you've ever heard of PCClassesOnline.com, what I want you to know is that we are a small business that is not afraid of trying to do something big. And some of you who discover us are going to hear about us through different methods. We have a few different forms of press that are about to hit the air. And this is what we're all about. We're all about taking technology and making it friendly. And during our normal classes, these are all live. So normally at this point in the class, this is where I would unlock everyone's microphones so that if you have a question, you have a little button that would appear on your screen that looks like a hand, and when you click on it, I can unlock your microphone. And just like in a regular class, if I'd called on you, you can speak to me and the entire class and get your questions answered. It doesn't matter where you live, because with this technology, knowledge is a click away. I hope you all have enjoyed this class. If you have questions, I encourage you to email us through our website at pcclassesonline.com. My name is David Acox, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.